All right, ladies, good. Everyone is in now. Just checking the register. All right, so for today's class, we're going to continue with the Industrial Revolution. I know you had a lovely class on Tuesday. Mrs. Brown Chambers told me about the class, and so our objective for this class is that we're going to discuss the factors or the causes of the Industrial Revolution. Last week, well, on Tuesday, you would have looked at what Britain was like before the Industrial Revolution and some very key terms when it comes to the Industrial Revolution. So just a small recap, which is in the form of an engagement. In your notebooks, right now in your notebooks, you're going to write 2 sentences explaining life in Britain before the Industrial Revolution. So learning objective, this is the learning objective factors are the causes of the Industrial Revolution. A factor is the same thing as a cause. And now in your notebooks, I want you to write 2 sentences to describe life in Britain before the revolution. You and your friends having a discussion, or you're sending an email to a friend and your friend said, what was the life like in Britain before the revolution, Industrial Revolution? 2 lines to nothing long, just 2 sentences. So you have 2 to 4 minutes to write that.
Excuse me, sir. Can you please repeat, sir, because I'm not hearing you properly?
Yeah, same, sir.
Sir,
You're
I
here?
think your mic is off. Oh.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what you're going to do right now is in your notebooks, you're going to write 2 sentences explaining life in Britain before the Industrial Revolution. So in your notebooks, write 2 sentences explaining life in Britain before the Industrial Revolution. Is that Zara Icklin? Zara,
Yes, sir.
how are you doing?
I'm good, sir.
All right, tell me, so you're talking with your friend on WhatsApp. Tell your friend what life was like in Britain before the Industrial Revolution.
Sir, I don't know how to answer that question.
You don't know?
Sir, I'm still kind of confused on this topic. I need to read more about it.
How you confusing and just start the topic?
Sir, I need to read more about it.
So you haven't read anything?
Sir, can I answer this? Can you come back to me, please?
All right, no problem. And is that Stanton?
Yes, sir.
Is Stanton?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Life in Britain before the Industrial Revolution.
Okay, so my 2 sentences are, before the Industrial Revolution, most people did not live in the city, and most of the work was done manually.
So most of the work was done manually, and most people didn't live in the city. So most of England before the revolution, it was, and you are very correct, England before the revolution was largely rural. You know, like majority of not Britain was what we consider to be country today. Very, very rural.
Yes, sir.
Bush, a lot of trees, rivers, mountains, just like how anybody live up in, or I wish they live up, but anybody has a country, right? You have rural Jamaica that you go and visit?
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead. Yes, who is talking? I'm not seeing.
It's Zara.
All right, go ahead, Zara.
Okay, so if I was gonna call with a friend talking about Britain before, I would be like, before the Industrial Revolution happened, they worked in like very small workshops, and they worked from home, and they were like spinners. But then producing cloth became faster, far less human labor.
Yes, so a lot of people would use the dressmaker or the seamstress to make their clothes and all of these different stuff. They never had much or little, just little factory. What was transportation like? Yes, Farquharson, go ahead.
Okay, so mine for life before the Industrial Revolution. So life in Britain before the Industrial Revolution was hard because there wasn't really any mode of transportation or communication. So people were most likely in the villages working in the fields.
Yes.
They also weren't able to tell what time it was because they did not have any clock to tell the time. So they just used the rising and the falling of the sun. People's lives were shorter due to diseases, and they did not have any hospitals.
Oh my, it was horrible. And another thing, yes, is that Kara? Kara, yeah. Go
Sir?
ahead. Go ahead. No, there are two Keras. You have Kera B and Salmon. Which one is it? Kera B.
Sir Kiar.
So, all right, my bad. Go ahead.
Sir, the life before the Industrial Revolution, there were harsh working conditions. Most people were poor. If the harvest failed, they risked for starvation, and sometimes even the children had to work.
All right, very well. Very well. That's a very good one. Dunkley, go ahead.
Life in Britain before the Industrial Revolution was more peaceful and less conjuncted.
Yes, what do you mean by that? The last one, the last part of your sentence.
Less conjuncted?
Yes.
Sir, nowadays they have more pollution and the place is getting overpopulated because of
so in Britain the population was low. That's what you're trying to tell us, and not a lot of traffic, correct?
Yes, sir.
Very well, very well. That was like in Britain prior to the revolution. So we need to ask ourselves, what are the causes? Because we know for sure that a revolution happened. A revolution is a drastic change. A drastic change, right? Any form of revolution. So if we said the Industrial Revolution, that means that there's going to be a change in how things operate in Britain at the time. But however, we use the word industrial. So why do we use the word industrial? What are they moving from? We know what the life was, and you would have described the life, but what was the mode of economy, or their economic mode? How did they, in terms of produce food and stuff?
Sir, before the
revolution, yes.
Most people were farmers and grew their own crops.
Very well. So in Britain at the time before the revolution, it was largely agriculture. Majority, if not all of the entire place was largely agricultural. And in fact, they also would have faced famine. And that's one of the reasons, I believe a student earlier said, some persons would have died. And a reason why the population was so low was because of famine. If you have famine, you don't have enough food to feed everyone. And so people will die from starvation. Yes, is that, sorry, KB.
Oh, sir, you answered me already.
All right, let her lower your hand. Good. So ladies, we understand what life was like before the revolution, and I think that is very good. Now, ladies, what we're going to do, and this is my little thing that I came up with for you to remember, the causes of the Industrial Revolution, easy, because history is about knowing, right? And you have to know the facts. And so I came up with an acronym for the causes of the revolution, the Industrial Revolution. And so the acronym for the causes of the Industrial Revolution is what we call PANTIC, right? Like panic, but PANTIC. Anybody has anything to say about that? It's on the Bruce students were complaining that the sound on the computer was low. I don't know what is the problem. I turned it up so it will sound as if it is shouting. My sincere apology. There's nothing I can do about it. All right? Because if I should lower it, some students are going to say that they can't hear. All right, ladies, so let us continue. So causes, pantic. Anyone, what do you think about the acronym? You think you can remember the acronym, Farquharson? You can remember that acronym?
Yes, sir.
So when you're going to the exam and they ask, you do a test, maybe next year, and you do an end of year test and they ask, describe 4 factors that led to the Industrial Revolution. You just remember and tick, and you choose your 4 out of that, and you know, develop those points. All right? So, repeat.
It will just pop in my head.
Very well. So, panting. Population growth was a cause. Agricultural changes was a cause. Natural resources was a cause. Transportation should spell it. Transportation was also a cause. Invention was also a cause. And capital was also a cause. So these are the causes of the Industrial Revolution. Now, we're going to go through the various causes of the Industrial Revolution. Now, the first one that we're going to go through is agriculture. And you would have described agriculture. Just remind me again, what was life like in terms of agriculture during the Industrial Revolution? Salmon. Yes, what was the agricultural life like?
Sir, I don't know.
You don't know, but we just mentioned it in the class. Yes, the fellow student would have looked at it. You weren't listening?
No,
Excuse me, sir, are you going to send this to us, this PowerPoint?
Let us focus on the lesson now.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, please could you go back? I just want to screenshot the one before this one.
Oh, Pantic?
Yes,
this
sir.
One?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Sir.
Jennings?
Yes,
Gabriel? How did they go about farming during the Industrial Revolution, before the Industrial Revolution?
I don't know, sir.
You don't know?
No, I don't.
Oh, sir, I know.
Sir,
Go
can
ahead.
I try? Oh.
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Me?
Mhm.
Sir, do they used to like have cutlass and chop out the grass and those things, and have the rake thing that you use and you pull over the crops or something? I don't know.
You're correct. And yes, Donkey, you just spoke?
No, sir.
Go ahead, Donkey.
Sir, they use the open field system.
Open field. They also had open fields, but they also, life before, in terms of agriculture, it was very small use, and it was largely manual. They used their hand. They didn't have any machines. So just small little things like a machete, as the student before would have rightly stated. That was how they would have produced goods. They never had much in terms of fertilizer, right? Not much fertilizer. You know, you put fertilizer on the plant for it to grow and the food for it to grow. In terms that they were very backward when it comes to agricultural techniques. They didn't know about how to take care of the agricultural aspect of, in terms of farming. So one of the things that is going to cause a revolution for industry in Britain at the time is that new methods of farming is going to emerge. Jennings, Gabrielle, you're here with me?
Yes, sir.
Repeat for me. Remind me of what was life like before. What was life like in Britain before the revolution when it comes to farming? One sentence.
So they use machetes to
Yes.
cut the crops.
Very good. What is that M word that we use? It was largely what?
The what?
It was M. It starts with M. I'm giving you a clue. M. It's an M word. Farming was largely done by what? Anyone want to help her?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
It was manual.
Manual. It was largely manual. Jennings, do you know what it means by manual labor?
What do you say, sir?
Do you know what it means by manual labor?
No machinery, I guess.
Yes, you are correct. No machinery. That's what we mean by manual. It was done mostly by hands. So what is going to happen, ladies? The first thing is that new methods of farming is going to emerge. What were the new methods of farming that is going to happen? You're going to have improvement.
Sir, what do you mean by new methods of farming? Do you mean like modern day farming?
Well, not modern day. We could say modern day farming, but new method of farming would mean new ways of farming. New ways of farming.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So new ways in how people farm. People is going to change from the old manual way of farming, and they're going to try new things. Understand, ladies?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So we have new methods of farming that is going to take place. One of the new methods of farming is that before they had fertilizers that were just the animal. So fertilizers are used to help the plants or food to grow. All right, that's the reason why people use fertilizer. Now they are going to improve fertilizers. And so with the improvement in terms of fertilizer, and some example of fertilizer, anybody has a grandfather in the country or you do some planting at home.
Animal feces.
Animal feces are what you use as fertilizers, right? So what they're going to do now is that they're going to add chemicals to the animal feces, and they are going to start to package fertilizers, and they are going to distribute fertilizers widely. So people now have fertilizer, and in the fertilizer now, they're going to sprinkle the fertilizer on the soil around your crop, or you're going to mix the fertilizer in the soil, right, before you plant, and that is going to allow you to have nice fruits and vegetables. So one of the first thing that is good, new method of farming that is taking place in Britain is that they're going to improve, they're going to improve fertilizers. So that is the first method, the first change. The second change is that you're going to practice crop rotation. Anyone, what is crop rotation?
Sir,
Yeah.
it's when you plant a certain crop for like this season and then the next season you plant a different crop so that the soil doesn't lose its fertility.
Yes, so that is very correct. So with crop rotation, ladies, what is going to happen is that you're going to, for example, like this month or this season, you plant maybe tomato or tomato, and then next season, you're going to plant something else. And then the other thing that you're going to do when it comes to crop rotation is that instead of planting on one plot of land for 7 years, after a period of time, you rest that spot of land so the soil can gain its nutrients, all right? So recap again, one of the major cause of the Industrial Revolution is changes when it comes to agriculture. What was the change when it comes to agriculture? New methods of farming came in play. And one of the new methods is that we have improvement when it comes to fertilizer and also crop rotation. So those are the two things. Now, my question now to Anton, you ready? If agriculture is improving in Britain, people now have access to food, more food than before, then what are some of the effects that is going to happen in Britain at this time? Panton.
Because there's an abundance of food, some people sell theirs.
People are going to sell their food. I agree, yes, but what else you think? Before the Industrial Revolution, Britain had quite a lot of what they had.
Farmers.
Yeah, they had a lot of farmers, yes.
Wait.
Anyone want to help her?
Sir, what?
Repeat.
Population.
Before the revolution, the population was low. Why was the population low, ladies? Because they didn't have access to food. Excellent. So in other words, and somebody said the word before, before the Industrial Revolution, Britain had what? Famine. All right? So what is taking place here, ladies, is that new method of farming is taking place. 2 new methods of farming taking place, improvement when it comes to fertilizers, crop rotation. And so if there is, people now have access to food, then what is going to happen? Anyone, what is going to be another effect?
The population is going to grow.
The population is going to grow because now the people have access to food. Another one. Food, what is one of the benefits of eating good food?
Nutrition, and you can
Obesity. Oh.
You really say obesity?
Sir, you get
Sir, you just said what happens when you eat too much food.
Not too much.
Can help the sick.
All right, when you eat, so before they never had any food at all and they were all kind of famine. But now they are eating food. That's correct. Some people will be obese, especially when it comes to sugar. But
Some of the food can help the sick.
so for the persons who were dying from various illnesses, their health are now going to improve. So with that now, ladies, the population is going to grow. So you see how agriculture is linked to the population?
Yes,
population growth. Go ahead, Brianna.
Sir, I was saying that because there's so much food now on the market and it's in abundance, then
Yes.
now it's more accessible and easy to get. So more people are going to get it, even the ones that couldn't like afford it before because the production was so low.
You are very correct. That's an excellent point. Excellent point. And anybody has ever been to the market with their mom or dad or anybody? Go to the market? Lee, when you go to the market, sometimes you go to the market and you see a lot of tomato at the market. What is like the cost of tomato when it's a lot?
Cheap.
It a go cheaper, sir.
Very
Almost
cheap.
spoiled.
Yeah.
Cause them have no
$30 a pound of tomatoes.
Sir, can I?
$30 for pound of tomato. What?
Sir,
Don't
can
make
I?
no sense.
And she ate them all off.
Sir, can I answer?
Yes, you may go ahead.
So I don't remember when it was. I feel like a month ago, but me and my mom, we went downtown with my auntie, and like we were looking for lettuce, and then we asked one of the vendors, and they said that they're not buying any because it's too expensive because it's hard to get. So because of that, when you did find some, like even in supermarkets, it costs way much more than usual.
Yes, you are correct. Yes, Jennings, Gabrielle.
Sorry, what did Brianna L say? Because I did not hear. And is she a new student?
Who?
Brianna L.
I'm not sure if she's a new student.
But
Sir, we never heard
Brianna
McKenzie.
When you shut up now, let me talk.
That's not me. I have my own.
Brianna McKenzie is there, and Brianna Promotes have her own name, so Brianna L is new. Who are you? Show your face on.
All right, ladies.
Sir,
go ahead.
Because Britain started to use new methods, they became like richer.
Yes, they are going to be a wealthier nation. All right, new method when it comes to farming. And not only that, they are not going to export food because they are growing food in abundance. They are going to export food to other European nations who at the time would have been facing famine. Now, another cause, ladies, is, so we look at agricultural changes as a cause. The next one is the availability of capital. What do we mean by capital?
Money or property.
Money.
Making
yes.
money.
So capital, money. So that was also another reason where, so one of the things, ladies, is that during this time, listen up now, how the wealthy British people receive money, had money, was that they received a lot of wealth from overseas colonies. So at the time of the revolution, a lot of Britain owned quite a lot of colonies in the Caribbean, right? Not only in the Caribbean, but they would have also had some colonies in North America. So they owned a lot of land. And so with a lot of land, they would have received raw resources or raw material from the colonies. And the money that they receive from selling these raw material, they would have established businesses. Some of them bought and owned shipping companies. Some owned enslaved people. Some owned plantation, right? So that these were some of the means in how they would have received their capital, their money. Some of them are going to establish banks and insurance companies. So these are some of the things that you're doing when it comes to getting money, because if you have a bank, then you're going to lend people money and you're going to earn an interest from an interest from lending people money. So you are going to become wealthy. All right. Now with this now, ladies, what you're going to do is that the wealthy British people, they are going to invest in the development of machines. They're going to invest. What do I mean by investment?
Sir, like when you invest, you get a commission every month, something like that.
Yes, you make money from it. Yes, and also they are going to sponsor people to sponsor a lot of scientists to develop machines. And so with the capital that they are investing into the development of machines, and not only developing machines, but also to improve transportation and also agriculture, then what is going to take place in Britain at this time is that it's going to cause a revolution to happen. All right, ladies?
Yes.
You tell me if you don't understand that point. I'm going to call on one person. I have Harris. Harris, you're here? Harris?
Excuse me, sir, are we supposed to be writing this right now?
Yes, you're supposed to.
Okay, let me do that.
Harris? I'm not hearing from Harris. Harris is on, but she's not on. Cooper?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Very well. When we talk about capital, I just want to gauge if you're following and if you understand. When we talk about capital, what are we talking about?
Money.
And how the British people would have received money?
Selling people.
Selling people?
And other stuff.
Shaw? Abigail Shaw?
Sorry, can I answer?
Go ahead.
They will get money by selling their food and exporting to other countries.
Yes.
Some people, like you said, they own plantations and they own slaves and they invested in different things. So that was how they made money.
And they would very well. Go ahead.
So did they sell land?
Yes, they would have also had lands that they would have sold, yes, to receive capital.
Oh, and sir, like afterwards when they started to make technology with this.
And they would have started to invest into machines and to improve agriculture and also they fund things like building of transportation or roads. All right. So that is so two of the points thus far. It's agriculture, changes in agriculture as a cause, and also the availability of capital was a cause for the Industrial Revolution. Another point, ladies, natural resources. When we talk about natural resources, Shaw, I'm coming back to you. Abigail Shaw, what do we mean by natural resources?
Sir, her mic doesn't work.
Oh, so that's the reason why she's all right.
No, sir, it only don't work for Google Meet.
This is not Google Meet.
Yes, sir. Natural resources are things that we can get from the earth, like things. I don't know.
You're correct. You're correct. Ladies, let us not be shy to answer questions, all right? We're all here to learn. Anderson, natural resources. When we talk about natural resources, what are we talking about?
Sir, natural resources are stuff that are not man-made and that exist before, long before, and yeah, that's it.
You're correct. You're very much correct. Give me some examples of natural resources. Gabrielle. Mackenzie.
Mr. Hall,
Yes, go ahead.
a natural resource is something that you get from the environment and it can be exploited for the economy again.
Very well, you're correct. But give me one example of natural resource that is in Jamaica.
So you want examples?
Yes, examples.
Oh, what? No, water, no one, no. Stone, tree, air.
There are minerals.
Yes.
Minerals such as bauxite is a natural resource. Water is also a natural resource. You're correct.
Limestone. Animals.
Limestone is a natural resource. Yes.
Sunlight.
Sunlight, we could use sunlight because some places really don't have sunlight. But
there's bauxite one. Wind.
Bauxite is one. Yes.
Wind. Oh. Wind.
So ladies, natural resources have to do with anything in the earth that we can make a profit from. So for example, Jamaica has quite a lot of natural resources when it comes to bauxite. So that is one example. Now in Britain at the time, before the revolution, the Industrial Revolution, they didn't exploit their natural resources, but they started to utilize the natural resources that they had. So for example, like coal, they had coal, quite a lot of coal, iron, fast flowing rivers. Well, rivers were always there. If anybody know how the landscape of Britain is, there's a lot of rivers in Britain. And they also had all of these natural resources that they are going to utilize. And they are going to turn them into different goods or help them to turn things into goods. Also, Britain would have received raw material from the Caribbean, such as sugar, cotton, coffee, all of these different stuff. So there was quite a lot of natural resources. Why do you believe what they are going to use the coal for? Coal. What do you use the coal for?
Sir, you use it to cook. Is it the black thing that you put in the big iron metal something, and then you put the board on it and then you cook?
So you use coal to cook. Now, one of the other things that people use coal for during this time, repeat?
Sir, I don't remember. Don't they use coal like in the ships or something?
In the ships, very well. So with the abundance of coal that they had, they used the coal to make fuel for transportation, like the ships, the cars. Also the irons that you use to iron your clothes, that used to use coal at one point. They never had like electric iron. So Britain now had an abundance of coal, and they used to transport these coal to their colonies. Another thing that they had was iron. raw iron. What they would have used the iron for?
Make machines.
To make machines, but also to make what? Something that you transportation. Somebody said it earlier.
Ships.
To make ships, right? So these are some of the, ladies, these are some of the things that they're going to use. Also, they are going to get quite a lot of cotton from the Caribbean. What are they going to use the cotton for?
Clothes.
For clothing. Very well. So what is going to take place, ladies? Britain had quite the abundance of natural resources, but they also would have received raw material from the Caribbean, and all of these, ladies, is going to fuel the Industrial Revolution. It is going to cause Britain to have a drastic change in how they do things, because if they have coal, they can sell coal to other countries. They can also sell, for example, iron, to raw iron to other countries. They are going to build ships and they are going to sell ships to other countries. They are going to develop machines and they are going to use these machines now, ladies, to improve how they manufacture goods. One second. All right. So we would have looked at, the first one that we would have looked at was, first cause was?
Agriculture.
Population.
Then?
Capital.
Capital. And then?
Natural resources.
Natural resources. Very well. The causes. Now, ladies,
Sir, go back, please.
I can't skip it. I'll just write it later.
Excuse me, will you be sending us the recording?
Yes, I will always send the recording. All right?
Sir, can you send the PowerPoint?
I'll send the PowerPoint also.
Yes, please, because you're going too fast and
All right. So ladies, what we would have done, our time has expired today. And what we would have done so far is that, remember the causes of the Industrial Revolution. Causes of the Industrial Revolution, and this is our acronym, PANTIC. What we would have covered from our acronym thus far?
Population growth,
agriculture, natural resources,
capital.
And capital. All right. So when you meet on Tuesday,
sir, would we have to list all of those?
What do you mean by list all of those?
Like if we get a question asking for the causes, would we have to list all of those? Because I just remember 3.
Yes, you will have to. But remember, we are still going through them. We haven't covered all of them as yet. So far, we would have looked at agriculture, and we would have linked agriculture with population growth, natural resources, and capital. So we haven't looked at inventions and transportation as yet. All right. So what I'm going to ask you to do before, wait, just give me 5 minutes more. So for the letter A, write one sentence to explain, one sentence. But remember, you're talking to your friend on WhatsApp, and your friend is going to send you the letter A, and she's going to ask you to explain just one sentence, A as a cause for the Industrial Revolution. Explain A as a cause for the Industrial Revolution. All right. Parkinson, go ahead.
Okay, so A is agriculture, so they use new method of farming
Yes.
to improve people's health.
Yes.
And created a labor supply.
Very well.
More raw materials to the be manufactured.
Very good. Gabriel?
Yes, sir.
Your hand is up.
It is. Oh, sorry, sir.
All
Accident.
right. A. All right. So agriculture. C. One sentence to a friend. Your friend sent you the letter C and said, how we see a cause or factor that led to the Industrial Revolution. C. Raise your hand when you're through. Yes. Kara. Go ahead.
Sir, me?
Yes.
Salmon or B?
B.
Oh. Due to the growth in agriculture, the puppet, sir, they had a lot of money and wealth from like banks and investments, selling on and exporting of their natural resources.
All right, good. That's a very good one. N. Your friend sent to you the letter N. N. Explain that as a cause. One sentence. One sentence, ladies.
Sir, can I do it then?
Yes, you can go ahead.
N is natural resources.
Yes. So continue. What you're going to tell her about natural resources? You're just going to
I was
leave.
supposed to tell somebody something.
Yes, you're supposed to tell your friend on WhatsApp what about natural resources.
Sir, we can leave now.
After you tell me about natural resources.
Tell you about what, sir?
The natural resource.
Sir, natural resources.
What about it that led to a cause?
What about it? What I must say about it?
Anyone want to help out?
Sir, can you please repeat the question?
You're supposed to say what natural resources help to lead.
What letter are we at?
Sir, can I go?
All right, ladies, so we'll pick up with Mrs. Brown Chambers.
Okay, bye, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
Nice.
Bye.